All right, guys, another episode of the ERN Podcast, Executive Recruiting Network. Today, we're blessed to have Kelly Sullivan here from the Deamer Group. Deamer Group, guys. Kelly, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, sir, for having me.
Awesome. Tell us about the Deamer Group. Who do you guys help and why?
Primarily, we're focused on helping nonprofits across the U.S., primarily because we see that there's a need to really help them identify qualified candidates who are both mission-driven and highly skilled. So we look at ourselves as matchmakers.
Now, tell me, why nonprofits? I mean, there's so many other industries out there. Nonprofits kind of have that stigma of being frugal, let's say. What made you decide to go with them as your niche?
Well, I mean, and they're not all nonprofits are frugal. I think if you look at why they're in business to help other people. So it's easy for us to connect because our mission is to not just find candidates for them, but find people who are excited about the opportunity to work for someone else. So it's just a good pairing for us.
So it's the culture fit.
Yep.
Awesome. So now tell me about the state of the industry. Right now, what is it? Unemployment's at an all-time low. It's very hard to find candidates in this market. Am I right?
It is. And I don't really care what industry, what market you're in. Finding candidates right now is challenging. And with the advent of technology, candidates are able to look at other companies very easily to see if it's something that they want to be a part of. With some of the research we've done, we find that most candidates don't even start doing research on a company until they get their first call. So it makes it that much more challenging, right? So you have this candidate on the hook who you believe is going to be a good fit. They do some research on the organization, and then they just drop out.
Oh, man. That has to be really frustrating. So what are some of the tips? I mean, you do this all day, every day. You guys are expert at finding the type of qualified candidates for nonprofits. If I'm a hiring manager, I'm an owner of a nonprofit, I need to find that perfect candidate. What are some of the tips that you can recommend to me in this market?
I think in this market, it's not just about selling the position anymore. So if you look on job boards right now, you'll find a lot of organizations or recruiters who are trying to sell a position based on requirement and task statements. And what candidates need to see is they need to see who is the company and why do they need me, right? They want to understand their value that they're going to add to the position before they even apply, right? Research shows that only 10% of the people who actually go to a job board for an application will actually complete it, which means you're losing 90% of your candidate pool because you don't have the right information.
Got it. And what can they do to get the right information besides contact you, of course?
I think it's put their brand out there. What is the company's mission? And really put a statement out there saying this position will help us do these things. This is why this position is important to us.
So it's not just top level. They have to really show the impact of the position because that's what's going to get the candidate excited. Right.
I mean, if it's a data entry position and all you having me doing is entering, thousands upon thousands of information, it's brain numbing. But if you tell me, hey, this is to help us do this, to help us find solutions for this, then I feel like I'm a part of something versus just another cog in the wheel.
Yeah, it's like the only impact I have is on the keyboard.
Right. And people, and nowadays, especially in this climate, people want to know what's in it for me. Right? I can take this position, but is there any professional development? Is there any chance of advancement? Can I use this experience to find a better job later? Right? That's what people care about.
So what got you in this whole recruiting game in the first place?
So I was getting my second master's. I got my MBA with a concentration in human resources. I was working in a big for-profit institution, was going to school again full-time, got laid off because I couldn't split my time between school and work. and it was hard to find another job.
Mm.
It took me a year and a half to find another job. And I was like, but my resume says I have a master's. I'm going for a master's. Got all this experience. I should be able to get a job, right?
Right.
Um, so from that point on, I kind of just focused on what's wrong with the process. It must
Mm.
be broken because if they didn't want to hire me, it was something wrong, right? Um, and went as far as to do my dissertation on effectively filtering resumes
Hmm.
to eliminate bias. Um, so it kind of fate, right? It kind of drove me in this direction.
So now you mentioned like your dissertation on kind of like how to like filter out bias. Do you find that's
Yeah,
a big deal for a lot of nonprofits right now? I mean, diversifying their candidate pool, is that something that is top of the list, top of mind for a lot of owners and nonprofits right now?
I don't think it is. That's probably part of the problem, right? Because most hiring managers feel that their gut will help them make the best decision, right?
Oh.
And they don't realize to what degree they're actually being biased, right?
Mm.
For example, like my mom has been in healthcare industry for 30 something years. When I had her do my study, she was like, I know I'm not going to be biased because I've done this for so long. We
Hmm.
get back the results, and it was you were biased, right? It's just name, and we're biased on name recognition, right? If we heard someone went to MIT, hey, they must be smart, right? If
Exactly.
they went to some junior college, got the same degree, it's like, but they went to a junior college, they must not be as talented.
Mm.
Um, so it's really helping people see that they have the skills and ability. Just because they didn't work at a place that you recognize or went to the school that you recognize doesn't mean they don't have what you need.
And truly, that's a benefit for the organization, for the business, because if you could have a wider pool of quality candidates because you're non-biased, you're able to
Hmm.
snag that talented person before your competitor does. That only benefits you as an organization.
It does, and as recruiters, we play a fine line, right? Because for us, we still have to sell a candidate,
Mm.
right? So we have to some degree, placate to some of those biases while helping them see that those biases exist, right? So
Mm.
we play that delicate tightrope.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, if I'm a candidate and I feel like I'm being judged because of my name or because of where I went unfairly, what are some of the things that I can do to kind of like have my resume stand out or really showcase my talent?
I think one of the biggest challenges most candidates have,
Mm.
um, I don't necessarily want to say that they're lazy, um, but but if you think about it, right, technology has allowed us to apply to several jobs at once,
Yeah.
right? I can apply to 10 jobs with one keystroke if I'm in Career Builder, Monster, even in Indeed, it's just one click at a time, right?
Hmm.
The challenge with that is you're competing against another 100, 200 people for the same position. And if your resume isn't customized for that position, or at least does the best to sell your experience, you're going to quickly get overlooked.
Mm.
Because as a recruiter, I'm looking for what looks great on paper. Especially as a direct placement firm, I'm looking at what looks best on paper that my client will believe looks good on paper.
Yeah. So it's
So
almost like you're customizing it to what like they're looking for. What,
right.
what if you find someone that like, hey, this person would be an excellent fit? They might not be the best fit on paper, but I believe they're a great fit. How do you go about handling that situation?
We modify the resume.
Mm. So you provide resume coaching and you help them.
Yeah, we'll have to. I mean, if we look on paper and say, man, they have enough for me to talk to them, and we
Mm.
talk to them when we start digging into, they have more experience than what the paper is telling us,
Hmm.
then we work with them to modify the resume to better showcase it.
Mm. Well,
Right, that's the only way we could get them through is if that piece of paper helps sell them.
that makes sense. So recruiting as a whole is a billion-dollar industry, right? Why do you
It
think
is.
why do you think companies have such a hard time finding candidates on their own? Like, what's stopping them from doing it themselves?
They could, right? One of the challenges that they have is their HR staff or their recruiters typically are multitasking, right? So they're not just concerned about recruiting; they're concerned about new ACA law or new FSLA standards or new
Mm-hmm.
documents, onboarding, and they have one position that they're working on. And a lot of organizations depend on job boards to give them good results.
Mm.
Up until recently, that was doable because your unemployment rate was so high, everyone was looking for a job. Now we're at a point where unemployment is low and most people aren't really looking. What we
Yeah.
find or what research tells us is 70% of the job or workforce isn't even looking for another job,
Mm.
which means you have to find a passive candidates, right?
Yep.
Research shows that what 70% of people are open or willing to move
Yep.
to a new position.
They just need that
Um,
nudge. They need that nudge.
right. And we find that if it's coming from someone they trust, then they feel better about it. Like if I say, "Hey, David, I found this company. They're looking for a VP or a president of marketing. I think you might fit." You know, you're likely to be like, "Well, what are they paying? And what do you
Coming
think
from,
my chances are?" Right?
coming from you, I'll definitely take a look at that opportunity. Whereas I'm not searching job board for another position right now, but coming
Right.
from someone I trust, I'll definitely take a look at that.
Right. And then on top of that, right, because skills are at a premium right now,
Mhm.
um, people are gonna look for you, right? How many emails do you get probably on a weekly, monthly basis saying, "Hey, I got this opportunity.
Mhm.
Might you be interested?"
True.
So with highly skilled individuals, they're like, "Well, if I need a new job, someone's gonna come find me anyway."
Mm. Man, good stuff, Kelly. Good stuff. I think we've given the audience a lot to think about. Now, if I'm a nonprofit owner or hiring manager, how can I best get in contact with you and utilize your services?
Um, they can email us. They can email me at Sullivan at the Deamer Group. They can find
Mhm.
us on LinkedIn. They can find us. They can go to our website and reach out to us that way. Or if they want, they could give me a call directly. My telephone number is 312-583-7348.
Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, we'll actually put that up in the show notes where you can get in touch with Kelly. Hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.